country little doggy, eh?
nearly 4 months old, I suppose. It was a paddock with cows. It had a small dam down in the bottom right-hand corner, and it had 3 original trees down there too, but after the fires, the borers and white ants went berserk on anything they could get to eat, and they took those out for us. We dug out the excavation for the home so that we knew where it was, and then I paced out the ground, which I found my map the other day, which was rather thrilling to actually go back, because I put numbers like, say just for instance, 1 Zagara Elliptica James Roof, number 1, number 2 Maple blah blah, 3 Hebe Inspiration, 4, and then on the map I put 1 1 1 1 wherever I planted them, and 2 2 2 2 wherever I planted them. And it's nice to look back because I keep forgetting the names. I'm not a horticulturist, I'm just mum, mother, gardener, cook, whatever. And so, yeah, it was nice to look back. I know the mice had eaten one corner of the paper, but I could, it was readable. But it was lovely to reflect back and look at that. So once I paced out the fence line and I got my papers, I drew what I thought would be okay, having rooms and dividers and my special features. Nothing in front of the home over 5 metres, because we wanted to see Round Mountain, which is that peak right in the middle. And Blackjack Ridge is the one that goes along and down in front of it. And Jagungal is just behind Blackjack there, just in here.
Wow. Did you have fires up here? Were there fires up here? Could you see them from here?
See?
Yeah, you were amongst them, were you?
We lost a house, sheds, tractors, sprayers.
Wow.
We lost a lot.
Wow.
But anyway, so we watched it, and we left because we didn't have anything to fight the fire, and then we came back 3 days later because we were just sitting on the side of the road not knowing what to do. We're actually sitting on the side of the road just outside of Wagga, and we had tents and a caravan and things, so that and the boys had their iPads, and they're clocked into the weather station over here in the Red Vineyard, and they watched the intensity of the heat rise, 50, 60, 70, and that was it. Like, we knew that the fire had come through. We didn't know what was the impact of it all, but the weather station told us exactly, and the philosophy, how quick. The radiant heat was the biggest thing. It melted things. There's a little pile of stuff down here, part of which is silver and moulded stuff, and that's the remnants of Jim's buggy. Jim's got a buggy there now. All that silvery stuff is the alloy melted. Now, it was sitting with a hot tub that melted also in gravel. No vegetation around or nothing. It was just no buildings around it, just gravel, because it was a car park. There were trailers and things like that. The trailers were okay, but the buggy and the hot tub that melted, and all the nets for the grapevines and that all went. But yeah, so anyway, so the fire hit the garden on that corner down there, and you'll see there's new plantings down there, and there's new plantings over here on the north side. When the fire did hit, it took out all the tool shed, garden shed, chook yard, duck yard, everything that you see up in that vegetable patch was gone, melted. What was left was plants, but the pot was gone because fire loves plastic. Fire follows plastic. So any of your PV's tubes, fire, your hoses, anything like that, the fire will follow those. Anyway, so it followed because Jim hadn't buried all of our plumbing. So it followed the pipe, an empty pipe, to the standpipe, took out the standpipe and brought down 130,000 litres of water.
Oh my God.
That water went down that north side of the property and snuffed the fire. Native plants were bringing the fire into the garden. The ones that got burnt were native plants. They were starting to ignite it within the garden. And then the water came through from the tank, and that snuffed that there.
Wow.
We lost the house, carports, shedding, a lot of the machinery in the lay yard, in the winery. The winery's just here, and it is open if you wish to have a tasting before you go. The hay shed, the house, yeah. So all that, and all our tractors and our sprayers, because we just found out that it's an insurance, even though you are shedding sprayers and tractors, 2 tractors and 2 sprayers on a property shedded that you leased, it is not covered with insurance. Unless on your policy you actually have all of that information stated. So when you lease a property, you've got to change your insurance so that they are aware that these things are not on your property, and then you may not be able to insure them because they may not do that because you don't own that property. So we learnt a lot through the fires. But anyway, so I drew it all out, and then I got a knapsack on with Roundup, and I painted the paddock, got rid of the cows, I painted the paddock with the design on the piece of paper on the grass so I could get a visual of how it was all going to sit. Once I got those lines on the ground, and if you use a product like Slasher, which is worm friendly, it pretty much within 3 hours you can see where you're being. You know, because it just, like acid and vinegar, burns the leaf. So it doesn't go into the roots, it only affects the top. And so once that was all painted out, then I could see where I needed to enlarge or reduce or whatever I needed to do. Then I coloured it in with Roundup or Slasher. I coloured it all in, and then I brought in all the rocks. I was fortunate, Jim gave me a Massey Ferguson front-end loader tractor, gorgeous little red thing. And that's what I started carting in rocks from the property and putting it in place, carting in all my soil. I used to mow the paddocks. The neighbours thought I was mad. It was a push mower at that stage. I've got a ride on now, but it was a push mower then. And I used to mow the paddocks before they went to seed, and then I'd, like with a stooking fork, I'm a South Australian, so like a rake fork thing, and I'd rake it all up and throw it in the ute. And then I'd do that on layers in the soil. So I was controlling what sort of soil, the drainage, all that sort of thing that I wanted. I was controlling that. And I made the beds. 90% of the plants in the garden are in my soil. Well, now they're in all the soil, because it's good granite soil, but it's hard for things to get going in that soil. It's, anyway, where the plants are that have been planted in the granite soil, they are much slower growing. Like, I'm 66, and when I started this, I did not want to be a little old lady, too, crappy to walk around before I had a canopy. So I wanted to make sure I had instant, growth as much as I could. And so when I was in Griffith, I bought little pots from Bunnings, those little tube stocks, 99 cents, well, they're not now. But anyway, and then I'd put them up and I'd feed them and whatever, and then I brought all those pots up here. Bringing all those pots up here, coming from Griffith, in a nursery, I also brought snails.
Yeah, okay.
Snails are shitty little creatures, and they thought this was Christmas. Going for a holiday in a place like this, with all this dampness and, vegetation, they thought it was wonderful. So you go for a walk in the garden, it's crunch, crunch, crunch. And then all my hippeastrums, everything's getting eaten alive, the flowers. And so then I was here by myself, see, because my husband was working in Griffith and Sydney. So I was here by myself. So there was plenty of time at night with a glass of wine to Google, or in the morning before the sun got up to Google and research and find. And I found out that Indian runner ducks are very shy. They're not like Muscovies who do big poos on the back porch. They're very shy, and they go off and do their own little thing in the garden. And they're fantastic for eating snails and slugs and all sorts of stuff.
And fertilising everything where they pass by along the way.
Yeah, and you can't see it because we're talking poo now, but
Yeah.
it's fluidy, it's not solid. So it's fluidy, so it goes into the grass and you can walk around and not know. So if you see a poo down there, none of my ducks did it. It's the native ones. And there are 2 mums this year. One's got 5 and the other one, the only young mums, they've got 2 ducklings on the dam right now. And the chestnut wren had 2 little babies also. But I found that the ducks were great. So I got 7 from a lady in Wagga, went to her garden, and her garden was immaculate. And I thought, look at this garden. She's got 2 Labradors and 7 ducks, or 9 with mum and dad. 9 ducks, and I thought, I'm on to something here. So I bought those 7, brought them up here, and I've just grown that. And I sell them every year, but I haven't had much success since the fires. Because fires are on, people suffer, people still have memories and they reflect on things and it upsets them or whatever. Well, animals feel the same way. My sheep, the first year round, I lost 5, born dead. My 1/3 the amount were born. My ducks, I reckon I only got 6 ducks. Normally I get 150. They were all... Yes. Okay, I'll finish up. Yeah, so it affected the fires, it affected them. But you'll see some of the ducks on the wall over there now. If you have any questions about plants and things later, please come up, see me, and I'll try to answer. Most of the names I will forget, but I may, you never know.